Oh, you damn right. Did y'all catch that? I might have hit one button before I should have hit the other button. Anyway, house divided on a Wednesday, and apparently Jeff Ketchum's internet has first day of practice jitters, but that's okay. He's working on it right now. I can hear him. He sounds like he's in a bit of a cave. That cave is very dark because I can't see him at all. We're trying to figure that out. We will get it done. Folks have already started piling in the chat, and we appreciate it. Money B, as always, letting us know that he is in the building. And not to start with too much emotion, but Jay, one of our favorite chatters, is going through something that I just went through and that many of you may have gone through. Jay says we had to put our 13-year-old pug Leroy down yesterday. Sad day in the household. Jay, we are thinking about you. And look, there's Leroy right there. Look at that face. That's the photo that Jay uses for the avatar. Thank you, Jay, for checking it out. I'll just go ahead and say you're there every damn day because it feels like you're there every damn day. And we are sorry that Leroy is not there for you guys today. But he will always be with you. And y'all take care. Hope the family is doing well. We wish you nothing but the best. Blake is theorizing that Anwar has jinxed Catch's internet. That is very possible because Anwar might he does speak some things into existence at times, and he might have spoken this one into this. And you know what? Jay's throwing in some tech support. Make sure all other devices in the house aren't connected to the internet. Catch, it's a decent idea. If you're listening, just whatever you need to do. And no, ZOV, his internet has not entered the portal and headed to Oregon. We got to stop saying that word. Like, I'm not a big fan of the whole Ohio State and let's say team up north instead of actually saying Michigan, but man, maybe that does that need to become like a lot of fans, Voldemort at this point? That it's just something you don't want to say. But no truth to that rumor that Catch's internet is headed to Oregon. This one says Catch's internet is as reliable as Mike Trout. That is funny. All right. Let's check some other, we'll get some other chats. Yeah. Somebody else agreeing that Anwar might have jinxed in things. Somebody said before we got started, longest horn, we are waiting outside the building. Yeah. We thought we'd go ahead and let you in with Catch having the issues, but I believe that we may have figured out the issues because I am seeing a beautiful face that I have not seen for a couple of days. Let's see if we can get him in. Oh, let's see if we can put him in the right spot. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all here. And
no!
That guy's here.
It's good to be back, Chad. I am dumbfounded, but it wouldn't be the show if there wasn't at the very last second some technical thing. Hey guys, good to be with you. Good to be back from vacation. I'm in a good mood. I'm excited. Like, comment, subscribe, pay the bills, get in that Specs chat. I'm here, Jared. I'm here. Can't really explain why I wasn't on time, but nevertheless, here we are. Chad, let's talk some Texas football. They're getting ready to go practice in a little bit. I'm pumped up. Finally, the dead season gone. Bye-bye. Yeah. Go away for a while.
Yeah, we are talking about practice. And like I said earlier on the recruiting show, we've got a great way for everybody to get into practice. This Orange Bloods offer the free trial, first 2 months of football season for free. And Catch, the code is active today. So all they need to do is go use the promo code JOINOB24, and they'll be ready to go for practice reports this afternoon. It's that simple.
It really is. And we'll have full coverage. The full Orange Bloods ensemble will be down there. Alex and Jason and Anwar and Sonny, photos and videos. And yes, we'll have coverage here on Orange Bloods Live, but go see what the fuss is all about. See why we've been number one in this market, in the industry for 2 decades plus. 2 months on us. If we can't win you over in 2 months and we're just suck at our jobs and we don't deserve you being a subscriber at orangebloods.com.
So, Catch, as we get ready for that first practice, time-wise, let's let everybody know. We record House Divided in the noon hour, and it's at 2:45 or so when it's going to be that the media window for practice. So it's a little later in the afternoon. So check out orangebloods.com in the afternoon and in the evening. Football with Friends today at 6. Should have some interesting thoughts on practice. That'll be perfect timing. We'll have Outsiders tonight at 8:30 as well. But as we get into it today, Catch, I think then I'll just go ahead and let you set it up because I feel like you have been asking a question for a little while now. And as of today, first official day of practice, I think you get to officially ask the question again. Folks may make fun of you for it, but it is a question that could lead us to a really important moment pretty quick for this team.
Now, look, I want to acknowledge right away, I have a million thoughts about practice. They cover the full gamut. At some point, you and I are going to get into Jonte Cook and Silas Bolden. Like, that's going to be a conversation that we have. But as the coordinators met yesterday with the media, it was hard for me in reading the transcripts from the event to not notice a couple of different areas. And look, we'll talk about the defensive tackles in a second. I don't mean to be a smartass, but when Jeff Banks, the Texas special teams coordinator, started talking about the punting game and the punter and the fact that right now it's going to be in the hands of a true freshman, they really don't know what they have. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's not. According to Jeff Banks, there's still a transition period. So they've had limited opportunity to work with him during the summer, but hey, they love his build. I personally do not think Texas will most likely have a game this season decided by punting. I looked, Chad, last year. I did look and I was like, hey, were there any games last year that I can definitively say, hey, that game was partially decided by the punter? Maybe you could go back to the TCU game, or, there was that stretch from TCU and Kansas State where there were a couple of Houston, there were a couple of close games that maybe you could go back and say, but nothing instinctively made me say a game could have been lost with worse punt plays. So I'm only going so far in talking about the punting, but I've been saying for months the Texas they had the scholarship room. They're still under the 85-man scholarship limit, that they should have gone out and did what they did a year ago and get a transfer punter. They went and got Ryan Sanborn a year ago, and he immediately improved the punting by 5 yards per punt from where they had been in 2022. It's an unforced error not to have done so. And I don't mean to start in a negative. I'm not screaming fire in a crowded theater. But if we're talking about the news from the last 24 hours, the coordinators met to discuss a bunch of topics. One of the things that stood out was that special teams coordinator Jeff Banks is admitting we kind of have a question mark at punter. Don't really know what we're going to do fully. And it didn't have to be that way. And it's just a reminder that this is not rocket science. And the people that do this aren't rocket scientists either. That, this shouldn't be an issue. And it is. And it probably won't decide any games this season. But football games and championships are won on small margins a lot of times. And this feels like one that could be a problem that just didn't need to be one.
Catch, you mentioned that change in yards per kick. While I agree with you that I don't remember a game decided by punting, I do remember us saying his name a few times last year.
He was good.
There were a handful of moments where we were getting toward the end of a list of game stuff, and it'd be like, and by the way, Sanborn was booming again. Let's lay those numbers out for you. All I think of, Catch, this made me think of September 7th. That's all it made me think of, because I'm thinking of, okay, basic start to a football game. Michigan's going to be a defensive-minded team. They win the toss and they defer. They kick to Texas. Texas goes 3 and out on Michigan on their end of the field, and or maybe they even get a first down, whatever. It's 4th and 8 in the big house, and the place is lit up, ready to roll. And was it Kern, right? Kern goes in, true freshman, and all you've seen him kick is one game. How much are they really going to punt against Colorado State? Who knows? but he's going to be asked to go into the big house and make some kicks week 2. That's what I thought of immediately.
Look, it might work out. That's not even the point. It might be that when it's all said and done, Michael Kern could be average. He could be below average. He could be above average. Maybe he turns out, maybe the faith that they've put in him will be rewarded, and he'll be at least as good as Ryan Sanborn was a year ago. And hey, look how smart the Texas coaches are. Yeah. It's not, this is just about mitigating the risk that's involved.
Yeah. This is what you're talking about, Catch. Vivek says, why not just steal a lower level punter, even to just have an insurance policy? You and I were peeking at the transfer portal. Kid from Notre Dame, a couple other guys. Why not just again, insurance policy? Because the 2 backups to this true freshman, Catch, are walk-ons. Is that right?
Whose names nobody knows. There was one of the guys I read, and I was like, oh, I do know that name. I have heard of Charlie Ferris's name before. Mm-hmm. But if somebody had said Ian Ratliff, who's that? I'd have been like, does he play defensive line for the Cowboys?
Jay Ratliff's cousin. That's what you would have gone with. Is he related to Jay? Can he make it on the edge?
There's a lot of interesting things to talk about. We're going to move on. I promise it's not.
Yeah, and just real quick.
There was an acknowledgement yesterday that this risk exists, and I just don't, for the life of me, this is where maybe I should have talked with Anwar about this. And maybe I should have said, Anwar, when he says this, ask them, why did y'all do it like this?
Yeah, and by the way, to Kobe, that is not true. We looked in the portal as it went along. Notre Dame had a no doubt about it, their guy punter that was a badass for them and punted like 45, 47 a kick.
The problem was that he was a young guy. So when we talked about it at the time, it was like, well, maybe they don't want to put a guy like that on scholarship for 3 years, and they want to find a guy who's a 1-year rental. There were punters. People went out and got punters. And Texas did it a year ago. So there were guys. Like, don't do that thing. Don't do that thing where it's like, I'm going to give the coaches the benefit. No, not this time. Because they literally are under, if it came down to, well, we made the decision to go get another defensive tackle, and we felt like that was more important, I can intellectualize that. But they had scholarships available. They gave Bert Auburn a scholarship. Remember that? Because they were under. They still have they may do that thing again where they give another walk-on a scholarship because they were only at 83 when it was all said and done. And here's the funny thing. You and I were talking about the Notre Dame kid, and we were like, well, he's a sophomore, so maybe they just don't want to commit to a guy with multiple years left. They're about to not have scholarship limits.
Right. They're about to be able to add 6 punters if they wanted to.
They can take a squad full of punters if they want to. So it's ironic that the one thing that you might have said as an actual reason for, like, why didn't they go get the Notre Dame punter? Because that dude was on the market for a while. And I was like, well, they don't want to maybe they just don't want to commit that many years to him. I don't know. Because the thing is, and this is the reason why I brought it up, and here we are, it's like 10 minutes into this, and I've already felt like people are going to be annoyed that we're talking about punter at the top of the show on the first day of practice. And
Cody Carpentier loves it. He loves this version of you.
Because like
punter coverage.
The thing is, when I talk about look, if Bill Belichick was still coaching for the Patriots, imagine Bill Belichick in 2007, and they're about to go on that run. They played the Cowboys in 2007. I saw that team in person. They murdered what would have been probably the best Cowboys team of the last 25 years.
God, that was a great Patriots team.
That was a great Cowboys team. It went 13-3.
Yeah.
And Washington showed up, or New England showed up with Randy Moss. They dropped like 45 on us that day at Texas Stadium. But imagine Bill Belichick with that team. And he's got one of the best teams in the history of football. And him saying, well, we're so good. I haven't even given any thought about punter. What's our plan with punter? Just going to roll the dice. We don't need a punter. We got Randy Moss and Tom Brady. We may go 16-0. Never know. We might just go undefeated. But with the punt game, YOLO.
We're going to call ourselves the Never Punts.
We got a guy that we picked up, undrafted free agent. Haven't seen him kicked yet, but he's our punter. And then it would have been like 6 months into the season or leading up to training camp. And it's like, hey, Tom or Bill, what are you going to do about that punter? It's like, oh, as it turns out, we had millions of dollars available. We could have got a punter. We didn't. Just intellectually, it feels like they went out of their way not to address a problem area. And then yesterday, the special teams coach showed up and said, yeah, kind of a question mark. And I was like, oh, but it doesn't have to be. You're not this team is football coaches they went out and got 3 defensive tackles in the portal. Why? By all means, they did everything they could to make sure defensive tackle wasn't a problem area. They did that at wide receiver. They went out and got a corner late. They did a lot of things I don't understand not addressing the punter position, especially when 2 years ago you had one of the worst punt teams in the Big 12, and it was a real problem. They were only averaging 40 yards a punt. Mm-hmm. And last year, for a lot of the year, they averaged almost 50 yards a punt. Early, for more than half the season, Sanborn was punting at one of the highest levels we'd ever seen a University of Texas punter punt at in terms of yards per punt. It declined by the end of the season where it was in the middle for like 45.7, I think, if I'm going to get real nerdy. The year before, it was a full 5 yards less than that. So going out and getting Sanborn through the portal proved to be one of those shrewder things they did in the portal last year that they don't get a lot of credit for. I will not understand I don't understand how you can go into the season and say, well, it's our backup option. We got some walk-ons that we didn't think were very good in the spring. We're going to run with those guys. It's just, it just makes me ask questions. All right, let's move on.
Yes, we will do that. We will move on. It is house divided with Catch back, and there's been.
I didn't know I had a punter rant inside of me.
He's been holding a punt. You know what he's been holding on to for 3 or 4 or 5 days? A punter rant.
No, just less than 24 hours. I promise. I didn't have that inside of me. But then Jeff Banks did the interview, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Right, exactly. That's okay, though. Had that rant all ready to go. First practice is this afternoon. We are going to get into some defensive line discussion today as well. Jump on in the Specs chat. If you want to throw something at us, get us a super chat. It'll go right to the top of the list. Let me get a thanks out to one of our great partners here before we transition, and that is Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Every time I get ready to go to bed, I'm thankful for Sinus and Snoring Specialist because they got rid of my allergy issues for good. That's a big part of it there. You have these allergy problems. Maybe you're allergic to 3, 4, 5 different things. Maybe it's one big thing like it was with me. They can get rid of those allergies for good. They test you for 50 different things at once. There's no needles involved. They figure out what you're allergic to. They develop a special formula with these great allergy drops. And then over about a 2 or 3 year period, you're just good. Your body develops those defenses. They can even put special things in those drops designed for the area you live in, things that they know people are bothered by, the molds that are in your particular area where you are. They do all this stuff to get rid of those allergies, plus sleep. The sleep apnea stuff, the snoring stuff that we've talked about, they can take care of all of it. Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Make sure you feel rested, make sure you feel healthy, and you're ready to go for football season. Sinus and Snoring Specialist. We appreciate everything that they do. We appreciate all y'all being there today, and we certainly appreciate the big man being back. The boss is back in the house, not just with a punter rant, but Catch, the coordinators, all 3 coordinators, by the way. Full breakdown of what was said at orangebloods.com. Get that free trial offer going. That code is valid today. We'll be flashing it up a few times. Join OB24 if you want to see Anwar's report on all 3 coordinators and what they had to say. Catch, the defensive coordinator, had a comment that also made me think of September 7th and that was when Pete Kwiatkowski was asked about his D tackle position. It is something I know a lot of Longhorn fans are wondering about. Give me your thoughts on what PK said and kind of your reaction to it.
Well, this, I think, is just the acknowledgement that when we spend the entire offseason, I think, talking about defensive tackle, and they got to replace Murphy and Sweat, and they haven't recruited the position well, and they go through the spring, and I don't think they felt like Vernon Broughton was the guy that was going to step in and be an impact guy the way those other two guys were. You start thinking about Aaron Bryant and Jere Bledsoe, none of those guys stepping up to such a level that it made the position not feel like a problem spot. So they go into the portal. We know that they've got Jermaine Lole, Tia Savea, Bill Norton. They tried with others. Dominic Williams, not able to quite pull that off, but they bring 3 guys in. And when he said, look, I think our depth is going to be good, but how productive are they going to be compared to those guys that left? I guess we'll find out. It is a position without sure things. It is a position where they're going to throw a lot at it. We won't say they didn't try if the interior of that defensive line ends up being a problem. But it is a major question mark. And when he says, I think our depth is going to be good, that is not the same thing as our depth is good, first of all, right? Mm-hmm. He thinks it is, but he doesn't know that it is. It's an important distinction.
He thinks they'll have it. I took that comment as he thinks they'll have depth. He doesn't know if it's good depth.
Well, I don't know that he knows about either fully. I think when he says, I think we'll have depth, he thinks it, but he doesn't know that. And then, the second part of that is the quality. So, look, we will not know the true state of the interior of that defensive line until they go to Ann Arbor. And on that day in September, week 2 of the season, this just in, Michigan is going to run the football.
You think?
And they're going to try to run the football between the hash marks.
Yeah.
And we'll find out. I will say, sign up for Orange Bloods today. There will be constant reporting on the defensive tackle position. But nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know.
Cat, the most popular nightmare for Pete Kwiatkowski right now, it's fairly simple, but it's fairly terrifying for him. 10 plays, 75 yards, 7-0 Michigan. That's the short version of his nightmare right now. What happens in the big house if that goes down? And it looks Michigan-y. It is, like you said, it's run between the tackles, it's churning up the yards, moving the sticks, and it is 7-0 like 5 minutes into that game.
Now, look, the good news is all 3 of the guys they brought in from the portal are experienced, and they're pretty good. They're not good enough to be in the NFL, right? Because if Bill Norton was like, now the good news, you do have Alfred Collins, and he would be on an NFL roster right now had he come back. So that's a great place to start if you're rebuilding from scratch in a lot of ways. That's not quite scratch. But who starts next to him? And Texas plays a lot of defensive that is, unlike wide receiver, they rotate the hell out of their defensive tackles, which is kind of amazing considering how good they were a year ago at the top. They were constantly, God, I've already forgotten his name. Terrell Carter. Terrell Carter played a couple hundred snaps. I don't think it feels like he did, but he did. So even a guy that isn't even on the football team anymore because he didn't feel like he was getting enough game time, played a couple of hundred snaps last year. I think they know the guys that are going to be getting a couple of hundred snaps. How good they are remains to be seen, but they did add 3 good players. Chad, we have a super chat. I don't want to let Money B's super chat just dangle out there in the wind.
I was about to do it. You're right there.
Money B, you welcome back. Welcome
Money B?
back into my life. Offense, defense, special teams. Which are you less concerned about and most concerned about? Well, I think on the defensive side of the ball, most concerned about, we're talking about that right now. It's the interior of that defensive line and how it partners up with its ends. At times, it feels like the ends from a year ago got to play with a free roll, Chad. Never saw double teams. All of the focus was on Sweat and Murphy inside.
Right.
That it let Baron Sorrell or an Ethan Burke one-on-one opportunities, and maybe that changes a little bit. What happens if those guys are getting a little bit more attention because the inside guys are able to be blocked with one-on-one, and we know that wasn't happening a year ago. I mean, whatever was happening inside, Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat routinely weren't getting one-on-one opportunities, because when they did, they ate those up. What does that look like in terms of what other teams have to do to block Texas? I think that's the most concerning thing on defense. I think. Are you
to go to Money B's question? I think he's asking about the 3 units set, as a whole.
I know. I was just starting with defense.
Are you more concerned with defense than you are with special teams?
He's asking your initial. Of those 3, what are we less? Right. I suppose I'm less concerned about the offense. Duh.
Right. I would agree with that.
It's loaded. I think the offense has. I mean, you can make a case that every guy on that offense will play in the NFL. They have to put the pieces together, and maybe where that, I don't know about Hayden Connor. Maybe. I kind of feel like Jake Majors is going to play on Sundays.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. I mean, of the 3, I understand what we talked about with the punter to start out with, but I'd say defense is the one I would be the most concerned about of the 3.
I agree.
Right. Of the 3 big ones, it's defense.
Yeah. Because that secondary is very talented, but unproven. Mm-hmm. Anthony Hill, I kind of disagree with Kwiatkowski that. Let me read you the quote from Kwiatkowski about Anthony Hill, okay?
Okay.
He said, well, I don't have the quote, but this is what this is what Anwar said that Kwiatkowski said yesterday. Kwiatkowski said, the move of Anthony Hill to inside linebacker aligns with his natural position, allowing him to utilize his instinct and skills better. I don't know that I believe that. Because part of I think Anthony Hill coming off the edge and being used as a blitzer and an attacking player is when he's at his best. I don't know that when I've watched, and look, it may be that Anthony Hill slots into that Jalen Ford spot and we get one hellacious player on our hands. And look, it wouldn't be the first time I've been a worrywart about something and then it not turned out to be a problem. And then everybody on this show, where you can go over to Orange Bloods and write it down in person and you go, can't you remember when you were worried about that? And then he ended up being the greatest player since Derek Johnson. Because I kind of did that with Jalen Ford a couple of years ago. Right before Jalen Ford had his All-American season, I was one of the guys that was pointing out, like, he was just okay, and he wasn't great. And then in that first game of the 2022 season, he didn't show up on the stat sheet. And I was one of the ones that was like, hey, guys, that could be a problem. I've been saying it could be a problem. It was a problem. And then for the rest of the year, he was an All-American and was like, Ketch, shut up. Anthony Hill might very well be that player. But I am reminded, Chad, of LSU thought that about Harold Perkins a year ago. I mean, Harold Perkins as a freshman was, dude, just let him go. Let him attack the football and go tear stuff up, and he'll be a difference maker. And he was. And then LSU said, we need that guy to be the leader of our defense in the middle. And it's where he naturally belongs. And you'll get the best of him in that position. And they didn't.
No, he got lost.
And so I have a little bit of a concern that Anthony Hill is actually better used in a different way. But we'll see. I only bring all of that up as if we're answering Money B's question. I'm more concerned about the defense. Whatever my concerns are about the offense, and I would be the least concerned about the offense than any of the other three. Boy, talent-wise, I feel like there are at least 8 or 9 future pros in the starting lineup, which is exactly the kind of thing we said about the offense a year ago. And so they were pretty good. There may be days when the Texas offense doesn't get the best out of itself, but as a group, that's one of the best in the country from a personnel standpoint. Defense is also really talented. It just doesn't have a Quinn Ewers back there. It doesn't, in a lot of cases, even have an Isaiah Bond. It definitely doesn't have a Kelvin Banks. That's a side of the ball that has more Cam Williams on it than Kelvin Banks's. Yeah. And so, and what does that mean? Well, it means that they think Cam Williams is going to be a good player this year. But one of the things that Kyle Flood said yesterday was, whoa, let's not compare Cam Williams to Jake Majors, because Jake Majors is going into his 4th year as a starter, and Cam Williams is about to be expected to do something game in and game out that he's never been asked to do in his career thus far. So those things aren't the same thing, even if Cam Williams has started a game before.
Money B, thank you for that $20 super chat. We certainly appreciate it. Here's another super chat from our guy Oscar over on the 40 Acres. $4.99 catch. Just worries because he cares. He's like the loving mother for UT football now that L'Oreal isn't. Catch, while you were getting a little rest and relaxation, we hope, Steve Sarkisian and L'Oreal did announce that they are getting a divorce. Do you have any comment before we move on?
I have 2 comments.
Okay.
One.
Dog has 1 comment.
Well, multiple dogs.
Dogs team L'Oreal.
She's hot. Chad, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, the dogs are very team L'Oreal. They just love women in this household. Believe me, I get it every day. I told my wife last night, you stole my dog. You bought me the Wime to replace my old Wime, and that dog is sleeping on. Last night, the dog's like hugging her in bed. That same dog, team L'Oreal. 2 thoughts. Number 1, it's none of our business, and I've been icked out by a lot of the commentary coming in on that. Like, ick. 2, here's hoping that it works out for both of them and that it is something that works out and as easy as one of these things can possibly be. And I wish nothing but the best for both of them. Like, I feel like that's the only thing anyone should or want or be expected to say. Since that happened, I've been horrified at the need for others to say something other than that.
Oscar, we appreciate the $4.99. And again, just a message to the folks over at UT. We just can't see Sark's suit game slip. Let's just, we can't get to a certain level of that slip.
L'Oreal ain't going to be there to dress him anymore.
Right.
I mean, we ain't got to talk about it too much, but it is the elephant in the room. There were times during the season.
Come on, man.
There were times during the season when it was clear that man did not dress himself. And,
all right, hang on. This might be the best. This may be the best the best chat so far. It's affecting already, fellas. We don't have a punt. There it is. Well done. Well done. Mac Pro in New York.
If Sark were to do like a introductory press conference in the next day or two and somebody asks him the punter question and say, hey, man, to be fair, my head has been all over the place the last couple of months, and I let that go. I could intellectualize that and go, you know what? I would never even bring it up again, Chad. I would go,
right.
Fucking life's tough, man. I get it. Like, say no more.
Yep. That is true.
Thing is, we won't get that. We'll get, coaches are always the smartest guys in the room. So if you, move on.
If you want to throw us the super chat, we will throw that right to the top of the list. I was just scanning to make sure we didn't miss another one. Catch, real quick before we go any further, not to assume that you would have been involved in any Rogue Shop while you were away, but you might have been. You could tell the folks about Rogue Shop and what they could do for them.
Well, look, life quality. We all want it. We crave it. It's better than not. Rogue Shop helps with that. Anxiety, sleeplessness, pain. There's a little bit of everything for everybody, depending on what you kind of deal with. Maybe you just want to take the edge off and you're tired of drinking. All those things exist. That's where Rogue Shop helps out. Scan that QR code. Go to the website. Just shop around a little bit. Ask some questions. There will be a person on site, Shar, to help you with any questions you might have about the product. They are Longhorns through and through. They care. So you're keeping it in the family. Check out Rogue Shop at some point today. Amazing partners of Orange Bloods and Orange Bloods Live.
Catch. Whoa, there we go. Catch, in terms of the chat, we did have a couple of regular chats.
Chad, can you give me 20 seconds? I'll be right back. I don't want the dogs.
Okay.
I need to cut the dogs off before you thought they were upset about the L'Oreal thing.
Okay.
Just wait. I'll be right back.
We'll give you the 20. There you go. While that 20 seconds is happening, we'll mention this. Got some predictions for that Michigan game coming. 31-21 Texas, says Mark. Ashley, one of our new favorite fans who's jumping in, says we're going to win that game, fellas, by 3 points. And when Ashley jumped in, she was wondering what's the unneeded risk. And Ashley, I think they told you in the chat too, but the unneeded risk we were talking about at the beginning of the show is the punter situation. The fact that Texas is going with a true freshman backed up by a couple of walk-ons. They had space to add somebody and they didn't. Also, somebody did point out in the chat that Notre Dame punter, for us, it felt like a long time, but he was only in the portal for a couple of weeks. But still, in portal world, that's kind of a lot. And he was one of those guys that when he went in there, we thought, well, yeah, just take a look. And I looked at the numbers and I thought, that's pretty solid. That'd be a solid punter to get. And they just didn't do that. So that was the discussion there.
What constitutes a long time in the portal these days?
Yeah, for me, you and I probably would have guessed that he was in the portal like a month or so.
Yeah, I thought so too.
They're saying it was only a couple of weeks, but hey, a couple of weeks when you've got the, portal combat thing going on, and we were talking about chopping all that up every day.
If Texas had needed a defensive tackle and one went into the portal, and I was like, hey, I was only in the portal for a couple of weeks. Texas didn't call him.
Yeah.
You guys would sing a different tune. 2 weeks would feel like a long time if it was at a position we know they attacked. Defensive tackle being the primary one. If one of the best defensive tackles that had been on the portal, let's say Dominic Williams, if a Dominic Williams level guy entered the portal, and then he came in and out and was in the portal for a couple of weeks and Texas never kicked the tires on it, you guys would be like, he was in for 2 weeks.
Right. He was there. No, it's a great point. By the way, to that Michigan game, couple of predictions coming in here, Catch. I think we can all agree this would certainly be impressive, Ben, if you're right. 31-17. I said this, Catch, in one of the shows when you were gone. The level of respect that Texas fans seem to be showing to opponents is a little surprising to me. Both these games are on the road. A lot of Texas fans, it feels like they don't think Ann Arbor is a challenge, and they don't think College Station will be either. We've heard predictions of not just wins, blowout wins.
31-17 is a blowout win.
That is a blowout. But you know what would also be impressive to me? This. If Texas goes to the Big House and they are asked to win a 21-17 game and they do it, I'd be thrilled as a Texas fan that you pulled that off. You got to go win that game by any means necessary. Late field goal, a safety, a weird play in the end zone. Who cares? Go beat Michigan 12-11, and I'll be impressed.
Look, the thing is, they may be the team built into whatever kryptonite might exist for the Texas football team. We know that Texas is going to be a little bit of a question mark in the interior of the defensive line. I think there are question marks at linebacker. They're weird because I think Anthony Hill is probably the best player on that defense. So, but I do wonder about how ready he is to play in the middle and functionally, what does it look like? Because if your defensive tackles are getting pushed around even a little bit, it's trickle down to other players on the defense can be substantial. It'd be like, man, Anthony Hill can't get off blocks. And it's like, well, no, what he can't get off of are defensive linemen getting pushed into him and then, and then blocks. So, yeah, Michigan could be built into – imagine a Texas team that gets fewer possessions on offense. It consistently doesn't stop the run. It plays a good, sound, fundamental football team. It's also good on special teams. So suddenly things like hidden yardage, field position, all these things come into equation more so than we think most Texas games this season will. But, man, I feel like Texas fans are a bit naive to just assume that a team that, look, Michigan lost a lot of talent. So did Texas.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes from last year's team that are gone, and we don't even know if the passing game is truly in sync yet. It wasn't when the spring ended. Who knows really where it is right now?
Yeah.
So,
I think a big ingredient of that game, too, is one team did lose head coach, quarterback, badass running back. Other team brings back all three of those things.
Texas, the biggest advantage that Texas might have in any game this season is quarterback against Michigan.
Right. Especially because it's that early.
But Michigan may say, to hell with the quarterback.
Right.
If Donovan Edwards just runs the ball over and over and over and over again, then maybe we're okay. So the thing is, I kind of understand 31-17 Texas because I can intellectually say, Catch, you're the first one to say what's the most important position on the field? Quarterback in college football. There may not be a position on a team sport, even in softball, where the player at that position is more important than anywhere else. Maybe starting pitcher softball, right? Maybe. Texas has a top 5 guy projected, and the number 2 Heisman candidate, according to Vegas, is our quarterback. Michigan doesn't even know who the hell their quarterback is.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we win that game by – I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand teams don't go into Ann Arbor and push that team around. But you make quarterback, head coach, coordinators, there have been massive changes. I'm not saying I don't think Texas wins that game because I do think they will. I'm just saying put some respect on Michigan.
Yeah.
Just as an institution that it's going to be more difficult than going in there and winning by double digits.
Yeah, I think you're right. By the way, a big how dare you to Rex. Rex says it's a small percentage of Texas fans with those big predictions. You continually overreact and latch on to one big prediction. How dare you, Rex? We would never do that. We would never latch on to one big – holy hell, 48-14 in Arkansas. Jefferson, that's unbelievable. Catch, how many Texas fans believe they're winning by that much in Arkansas? That's crazy to me. That's just crazy. Not to overreact.
The thing is, Rex, You act like we didn't poll thousands of Longhorns in the offseason to find out what the expectations were. Because I was being more modest.
Mm-hmm.
And we polled, it was a couple of thousand Longhorn fans, and asked them, what are the expectations for this team? The expectations are at what it was 86%, I believe, officially. Get to the playoffs and win at least one game.
Yep.
That is the bare minimum expectation.
Yep.
I did not make that up. I tried to lower the bar, and 86% of Longhorn fans said, shut the fuck up, Catch. Don't you hit us with 10-2 and getting into the playoffs. That is not the minimum bar that we will accept.
Michigan doesn't even have Connor Stallion anymore. That's a good call.
It's true.
Those jokes are coming the week of September 7th. I can't wait for the Connor Stallion jokes we get to throw in. That'll be good. That'll be awesome. And Mark, did Harbaugh leave his game film behind asking for a friend? That's funny. All right.
I'm actually sad that we don't get Harbaugh in this game.
Me too. No, I'm with you on that. That would be just a wonderful set.
A week of Harbaugh talk?
Oh, my God.
I can tell all the crazy Harbaugh stories I've heard come out of his own brother's mouth.
Yeah, like when they go to Chargers camp now and he makes some weird analogy, like how the linebacker position reminds him of buttermilk or something strange. I think, oh, man, we could have that in September.
It's sad. I don't
can.
care that he went to the NFL. Good for him. Have fun. But that we missed it by 2 games feels unfair.
Yeah, that sucks. That absolutely sucks. We do have some chats that I marked that are in here. If you want to throw a super chat our way, it will go right to the top of the list. Before we will get some buy or sell. Catch and I haven't done buy or sell in a few days. I got a couple of Olympic buy or sells I'm going to throw at Catch. So
I do too.
Excellent. There you go.
I have an Olympic hotter than.
I do too. We'll see if we're thinking along the same lines. I've got that too. Right now, though, let's take a breath and thank one of our great partners, and that is AV Consultations. Catch will be listening for marital advice. The rest of you, check out the cool TVs.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations. Today's home electronics can be a bit daunting. My company has spent the last 36 years making sure they are not. For those of you who have not experienced our services yet, we'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. We carry all the major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And we come to you. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic, inexperienced sales geeks, or pushy showroom tactics. We believe in having some fun and dreaming big. You have a dream for your home entertainment? Let us know. We can make it come true. And we are always there to help after the job is done. We cultivate clients for a lifetime by treating everyone like their family. No, not those family members. I'm talking about the ones you actually like. So relax, hug your kids, make love to your wife, and smile. Then, when you have a moment, give us a call at 255-8678. That's 512-255-8678. Or online at avconsultations.com.
All right. Super chats came in while we were getting you that. Jay says for $5. I played Michigan last night on Heisman. Their home field advantage was a big deal. Quinn threw 3 interceptions. We lost 34-17. Womp, womp. Is that how you type that? Womp, womp.
Womp, womp.
Womp, womp. Yeah, okay. There you go. That's Jay. Jay, we are sorry that happened. Thank you for the intel. Matthew, Super Chat $4.99 says, as a non-delusional Longhorn, I think 9-3 and 10-2 is a good year. Michigan is very good, probably the best defense in college football, but we will smash Arkansas. All right, Matthew.
Okay.
9-3, a good year.
So.
Catch, I don't think 9-3 will feel like a good year for a Texas fan. I always say a 9-win team, 9 wins is good. I put that in quotes. I'll consider that a good football team if you win 9 games. But I don't think a Texas fan will look at their season this year and use that phrase if they go 9-3. What do you think?
Well, I think it'd be borderline disaster. And I know, and that speaks to where Sarkisian has put the program.
Mhm.
But you know, when I looked Quinn Ewers in the eye a couple of weeks ago at SEC Media Days, and I said, I know you can't control outside noise, but a lot of people think you're going to be in the NFL next year and drafted pretty high. And does this feel like a goodbye for you? And when he looked me in the eye and said, it'd be pretty cool if it was, though, huh?
Mhm.
He didn't mean if they went 9-3. That is not
what it felt like.
No.
No.
They have, and the funny thing is, Vegas would tell you that the lines probably between those two, 9-3 and 10-2, that, you know, and maybe it's even 10.5 now. 9-3 would be bad because while that would be good, and Chad's not wrong to use the air quotes, right? I mean, if you name out the big games on the schedule this year, it means they might split them, right? So it's like Michigan, Oklahoma, Georgia, A&M, Arkansas. You go 9-3. You probably won 2 of those games, unless you get upset somewhere else, and then you win 3 of the 5, and it's like, well, that's not terrible,
right?
Probably.
And it's also where the wins come, I guess. Like if you lose to Michigan, Oklahoma, and Georgia and go 9-3, would the fans look at it as a good season?
No, because they won't make the playoff. And that's the wild card in college football that Chad and I have been talking about this now. By the way, we're almost at our 1-year Annie.
Friday.
We're not there yet.
Nope.
But I was just about to say, we've been talking about this for the last year, and technically it's not. Technically almost the last year, is that we're getting ready to enter a season where the prism through which we view college football, the sport, is about to change forever. And if I said, hey, Texas basketball program had a good season, they won 20 games, but they didn't make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
You can lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and people will still say, it's a pretty good season, but they lost in the first round, and it is what it is. In college football, this is the first season where when it's over with, there will be a dozen teams that said they had good seasons, and they may even describe it better than that. But if you finish 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, nobody's going to remember it. It will be viewed as a failed season. Why? Because you came close to making the playoff. You didn't, and nothing in college football matters beyond that right now. It is the reality that we live in now that nobody has yet experienced. But I'm telling you, Texas goes 9-3, and let's say they finish 14th in the country. I mean, that's a good season, but it will be viewed as a disaster. Be viewed as a disaster. And that speaks to what 1 year inside the in crowd does to the level of expectations.
Yeah. Matthew, thank you for that $4.99. It is going to be wild to watch first season with a 12-team college playoff. All right, Catch, we do have a couple of chats that I marked. Wait a minute. Hold on. This coming in now. Super chat, $5 from Jay. I know it's random, but have you seen or know anything about the 6'11", 380-pound basketball player? Georgia is making an offensive tackle. Dude is athletic. Jazair Jackson. I have not heard of that name, Jay.
I have not. And what I would say is never happened before in the history of football. Now, that doesn't mean that a 6'11", 380-pound basketball player won't make it. What I'm telling you is I've been doing this for a long time, 3 decades. It makes me feel old. And during those 3 decades, I think I've come across one prospect that was 6'8" in 30 years who made it. there's a sweet spot at tackle, and no, I mean, it's just that's never so. I applaud Georgia for trying something incredibly unconventional and like giving it a go. But first of all, I don't. If that dude was 6'11", 380, and he were truly athletic, he's not playing football.
No, he's not. No, he is not. He's trying to get a ball to go in a basket.
If he's 6'11", 380, and you're telling, so what does that mean? He's athletic. He can dunk easily. I know it sounds funny to say it, but I mean, when I say 6'11" and it can dunk easily, I mean every time he dunks, he looks like Shaq. Or does every time he dunk, it looks like Oliver Miller? I know that's one for the kids, but I was trying to think of a big man.
Well done. That must be some immobile 380. That must be a clunky 380 in terms of his feet.
If he had, what are we talking? If you've got six, I'm just saying, if a guy's 6'11", 380, and he's truly athletic, he's just not playing football.
Right, because I get the football theory part of it, Catch. At that size, you assume if he gets his hands on you and stretches his arms out, he dumps you into the nacho booth.
The thing is, if it were as easy as, well, just go get a 7-footer who's too big and too oafish for basketball, but perfect for football. It just, I had not heard of this, Jay.
Yeah, I got to look it up.
Now that you've brought it to my attention, I will keep an eye on it. But if you're asking me about,
Jay says, I've never seen someone that large, that athletic. Jay, we'll check it out. Thank you for that. I'm going to jot that name down. I'm going to
watch some Huddle.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on. Jazair Jackson. I'm going to check that out. Good grief. That's a name.
I mean, I will definitely look that up.
Thank you, Jay.
But my instincts are this will be the most we ever talk about him. I don't even know that kid's family is talking about him as much as we just did.
Probably not. Catch, you want to clean off some chats, or you want to do buy or sell?
What do we think the people want?
Well, I would assume the people probably want some buy or sell. We could get to the chats after that.
Yeah, let's do buy or sell, and then we got plenty of time to go into chats.
Yeah, let's get it done. Now that we are into kind of season mode, we will be going a little bit longer usually on House Divided. So we got a little comfy time here, but right around 1 each and every day, it will be buy or sell. Catch, welcome back. Do you want to come back first or second on buy or sell?
Heads or tails?
Tails.
You go first.
I go first. Fair enough. Here we go. Buy or sell number 1, first day of practice. The first thing you'll look for from practice reports is 1 reps at wide receiver.
Probably buy. It's a great question. It's either that or not necessarily the volume of reps, but I'm very curious about the Jalen Gilbo, Jahdae Barron thing. And we've got to jump into that conversation. I talked about it some with Anwar earlier this morning. It is, from a real positive standpoint, it's potentially a magnificently huge, impactful thing that's occurring that probably doesn't get discussed enough. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have a question about the receivers for you as well from something I saw from some of those notes. All right, Catch, I'm going to try to do this one as the most overly excited, confident Texas fan on the face of the earth. Buy or sell number 2, the punter thing is no big deal. Texas won't punt much.
So I'm not going to say it's not a big deal, but I'm not going to say it is a big deal. I think it's a deal. And, it's like when we talk about third team tight end. It's like, well, who's your third tight end? And it's like, oh, well, we're not quite sure. That's a question mark. Well, it doesn't mean that I think that the season's being derailed, but there are scenarios where if you have to go to your third tight end, if you play two tight ends a lot and one were to get hurt, suddenly it matters who your third tight end is. Is that a big deal? Maybe not, but it's a deal. And I kind of look at punter the same way. It's worthy of conversation.
Fair enough. All right, Catch, let's hit the Olympics. Buy or sell number 3. You have been all in on the Olympics, 3+ hours per day.
That's a buy if all in is 3+ hours a day, because here's what I've been doing in the morning. Do you have Peacock?
I do.
Have you used the Gold Rush?
Yes, a little bit. I brought the Roku and the Peacock ability out here, and my mom is addicted, and she might not let me take it with me. Yes, we've been checking that out. The Gold Zone is pretty cool.
The Gold Zone, is that what they call it? The Gold Zone?
Gold Zone, I think. Yeah.
It is the equivalent of the Red Zone for the NFL.
Yes.
And so what it allows you to do is put it like I'm watching right now. I'm watching the all-around final in the background. It's a gold medal alert on the Gold Zone.
Right.
So when I wake up in the morning, I just turn it to the Gold Zone. And then whatever gold medal is about to go down, whether it's the USA or not, I'm watching it. And on top of that, they do the things like they'll go to the Octobox. I love that. Give me 8 things to look at once. Earlier they did the Octobox, and there were a couple of soccer matches, and there was a volleyball match, and there were like 4 or 5 things that I was legitimately keeping some sort of an eye on. So if 3+ hours a day makes somebody all in, I might be at like 9 hours a day.
Yeah, okay.
The moment I wake up, I've been putting it on the Gold Zone, and then it doesn't go off until the Olympics are done for the night.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
They gotta love me. I may be I may be their target audience.
Yes, you're in. That's good to hear. Yeah, we've been watching a lot of Olympics here. All right, Catch, I'm gonna dip back into yesterday because I want to get your thoughts. Buy or sell number 4. Arnold Schwarzenegger turned 77 yesterday. The movie you can't leave off of his Mount Rushmore is The Terminator.
Buy, duh.
Okay.
Although, sell.
Okay.
Terminator 2 is the better Terminator movie. It is widely considered one of the best science fiction movies ever made. And there were things in that movie that people still look at as the gold standard in that genre. And the actual original Terminator movie, I don't like the franchise. If you were just.
So you're saying if somebody left off T2, that's a bigger crime than if
that's what I'm saying.
Okay. If they said like T2, Total Recall, True Lies, and whatever else it would be, Kindergarten Cop, like you wouldn't flip out that they had left Terminator off.
If you said the Terminator franchise as a thing is one spot, I get it.
Oh, yeah.
But Terminator 2, if we're talking about the movies, I feel like is a strong consensus, is a better movie.
I think
James
that's true.
Cameron directed it. It's just a different level of enterprise than the original Terminator. But if we're talking about I get the question. And ultimately, I guess I would say, you can't leave the Terminator off. But if we were going to get real nerdy and say you could only pick one Terminator movie,
it's 2.
It's 2.
Yeah. And yesterday I said I would do Terminator, Terminator 2, and True Lies as 3 of my 4 spots. And then I'd try to figure out what 4 was. That's just my opinion of what I dig about Arnold. I would have T and T2. I'd have both of them in there. Because I couldn't have one without the other.
I think the important thing, the underrated part of your deal is that True Lies gets in the 3rd spot. I think I agree with you. I love True Lies.
I do too. I think it's almost a perfect kind of Arnold movie for me. It's probably my favorite. If I had to watch one today, you said you can watch any Arnold movie all the way through, popcorn in a theater. I'd be like, man, throw True Lies on. I'm good.
But part of that is because the supporting cast in True Lies isn't just excellent, but they're all excellent inside of the excellence. So it's like, oh, you get Jamie Lee Curtis and Bill Paxton and Tom Arnold, but it's not that. You get maybe Bill Paxton's best Bill Paxton.
Yep.
You easily get the best Tom Arnold that has ever existed in anything.
No doubt.
I won't go so far as to say that about
Jamie Lee,
because she's been great in a lot of things.
It is a movie that it redefined her a little bit. It's a movie that helped redefine her.
But it also might be the best that Arnold's ever been in anything.
He was awesome.
So
yeah,
I'm with you. I need to. I tell you what. By the end of the show, I'll figure out what my Mount Rushmore is. But I agree with you on Terminator 2 and True Lies.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and finally, Catch. Let's go to the Olympics. It is a triple threat, hotter than with the Golden Girls. Here we go. Jordan Childs, hotter than Suni Lee. Simone Biles, hotter than both. Let's find out what Catch is into.
All right, give me a second here.
He's got to check it out. He's got to look it up. By the way, if you didn't watch the Jordan Childs floor exercise, holy mackerel.
No,
that was my favorite.
Did.
So good.
I did.
So good. Suni Lee is always awesome. Simone Biles is Simone Biles. They're all beautiful.
They are. It's very hard for me. They're all built in a lot of ways similarly.
Yeah, they're all.
I'm gonna sell.
We selling? Are you selling because you're a Jordan Childs guy?
I think I'm a Suni Lee guy.
He's a Suni Lee guy. Okay, fair enough. But
there's no wrong answer.
No, they're all beautiful, and obviously they're all talented. And best of luck to Simone and Suni in the all-around.
Our brains are not in the same place, by the way. I have a different Olympic hotter than coming your way.
I am excited. All right, that's my buy or sell. What do you got?
Buy or sell number one, Jonte Cook, DeAndre Moore, and Isaiah Bond will be the three starters at wide receiver against Colorado State.
Sell. Silas Bolden for DeAndre Moore.
Okay.
I think it's Cook and Bolden on the outside, Bond in the slot.
Buy or sell number two, punting will neither win or lose a game for the Longhorns this season.
I'll play the odds and say buy on that one, because when you say win or lose a game, the kind of punt that would make you say that, or the kind of day you'd have to have as a punter, you'd have to get a punt blocked. You'd have to have a couple. You'd have to have that NC State feel to it before you'd say punting cost you the game. So I will buy. It will neither win or lose a game specifically for Texas.
By the way, this is not a buy or sell question, but officially on the record, Mac Brown getting attention for being a little snarky at ACC Media Day made me chuckle, because it was as if people forgot that Mac was snarky. That's like, wait a minute. You guys don't remember that somebody wrote, Mark Wongren wrote that Texas had like a special teams issue after the NC State game in 99. Was that? Yeah.
Yes.
And Mac never forgot it.
No.
Every time Texas ever did anything on special teams, he would reference the Wongren article that was like a decade would go by. And it would still, Mac is, you guys don't know, you guys have forgotten Mac. You did.
He's such a great, mean, nice guy. He's one of the best. One of the best mean, nice guys ever.
He'll make you think he's being nice to you while being mean, but yes, you guys totally forgot what having Mac Brown around was like. You guys think he's been grandpa forever, and he was not. Buy or sell number three, Simone Biles is the best athlete, man or woman, in the history of the state of Texas.
Whew, that is a bold buy or sell, my friend. It is a bold buy or sell.
And before you give an answer,
yes,
if you sell, you need to tell, I need to know in the answer just one name that you're ranking above Simone Biles, who in the modern history of women's gymnastics is the all-time great. She's the all-time greatest gymnast in the history of the United States
Right.
in gymnastics. Like more medals, more gold medals, more world games, more Olympic games. So I need to know who specifically goes ahead of her on the list.
Yeah, and there definitely was a name that popped in my head. I love Simone Biles. I'm going to go old school in the state of Texas. I'll sell, and I'll go Babe Didrikson Zaharias because of the craziness of multiple Olympic medals, a set of Olympic medals no other human has ever pulled off, and 10 major wins as a professional golfer. I got to go with the Babe, and I think if I laid all that out, Simone might nod. I'm sorry. I got to go with the Babe.
I think that's crazy.
Okay.
I think Babe competed in a world where the best athletes in the world didn't always truly compete.
Okay.
Like I don't know that in the modern day, I don't think we don't even know who she is. Like I don't know that Babe in 2024 is a thing. And she's got a little of the Babe Ruth thing going on. And it's like, well, would Babe Ruth even be a Major League Baseball? Like, would his fat ass be able to play? Like, maybe, maybe not. Like,
right. I get some of those arguments, but I'm not going to pull time machines out.
Is there a man you would rank ahead of her?
Is there a man I would rank ahead of Simone Biles, best man or woman in the history of state?
I'm kind of like flabbergasted that you went Babe there. But is there a man like would you put Nolan Ryan ahead of her?
I mean, there's probably an argument for a few different. There's also that argument about an athlete that is in your consciousness every single year for a long period of time, whereas the Olympic athletes jump in and out of your consciousness over time, right? It's every 4 years or for a lot of people. So I don't know. I mean, there's some arguments, but I'll give Simone the love right now because she's getting a ton of it. Right now, I can't think of a man I would definitely put above. And I just always think
Roger Clemens.
No. Right. I mean, today my gut would say no. Not quite that level of dominance overall like she's done in her sport.
Earl Campbell.
Now that's a maybe. Yeah. I mean,
Earl Campbell, we talk about. I mean, Earl Campbell's window is about 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, God, Earl is
78,
so
79, 80.
There's an argument for all the guys you mentioned. Nolan, Roger, Earl. There's an argument for all that because the sports also hit differently when you say it. That's why when you said her name, I made a comparison to somebody that was kind of in that world.
The thing is, she's the greatest in the history of her sport. So doesn't the person that beat her have to be in the conversation for the greatest in the history of their sport? Like, isn't that the bar she establishes that, okay, you can rank ahead of her, but you have to be at least in the conversation.
Right.
The greatest.
Exactly. And that's why I went with somebody that is clearly the best at what they did. There has only been one freaky athlete like Babe, just like there was only one freaky.
What is she remembered as being the best in the history of her sport as?
She is the best. I mean, again, it's the combo. It's the Jim Thornton-ness of it. She is the best combo world-class Olympic athlete and professional golfer.
It just comes with an asterisk because, she was competing against my great-grandmother.
Okay.
And I was like,
all right.
First of all, where were the minorities that Babe was competing against?
Yeah.
Matters.
You know what? I apologize. You set up a moment for Spring Texas's own, and I'm trying to ruin it. Bye, Simone Biles, all day. Bye.
I'm not trying to. You didn't know. It's a conversation.
Bye.
All right. Bye. I'm gonna ask you this next question, but it comes. I probably need to ask the question you asked me. Have you watched any of the Olympics?
Oh yeah.
You've seen it. The makes me feel like you've watched enough to have an opinion on NBC's coverage.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Buy and sell number 4. You've noticed how much NBC is going out of its way to have the cameras on the butts of female athletes. Have you noticed this? The camera guys holding the camera right at their ass level. And so you're in the pool and in gymnastics, and I can't wait for track and field. It's like a whole lot of ass shots.
Yeah, I don't know if it's intentional, but I'll go ahead and buy. If it is, now that you're saying it, I do feel like I have seen a whole lot of cabooses at the Olympics. Yes.
The director of the Olympics is an ass man.
It can't be accidental, though. We know that. You and I know enough about television production that just can't be happenstance. And because there's another way to it. They can't just tell us, guys, it's the angle. Sorry, that angle, it's the best optimal angle. Like, they can't do that. So yeah, bye. It's probably intentional.
They're not even hiding it.
Right. They're trying to show us
events that end and all of the women are standing around and the camera guy gets every single woman's ass in the shot. He gets all of them.
Catch, look, if you think about every sport we all love at the Olympics, most of them, when you see them on TV, reminds us all that we need to do more glute work. So they're just leaning in. Swimming, gymnastics, you mentioned track and field. My God, like that's what you notice. I mean, it's one of the things you notice where it's like, damn, mine doesn't look like that.
Beach volleyball is a good one because it's got dirt all over
exactly. Beach volleyball, of course. And you're right. The camera angles in beach volleyball are all kind of like that. You're absolutely right.
And here's the thing. I'm enjoying it. I'm not putting in a cease and desist letter to NBC where it's like, I'm not going to watch the Olympics anymore unless you stop showcasing ass on my TV set. I'm not upset by it, but
you just noticed it.
I feel like Wendy and my wife and Sherry. Hello, Sherry.
What up, Sherry?
I feel like they deserve the same and equal amount of ass. So all I'm saying is there's been so much ass on the screen in my Olympics coverage that I feel I'm noticing the women are not getting the same amount. And yet women make up the majority of the audience watching the Olympics. I feel like they also deserve what we're getting. There almost ought to be its own channel instead of Gold Rush. It's Ass Rush.
But don't you think they're going to get, I mean, they're already getting some of it with gymnastics and things and track and fields coming. Like, you and I don't notice that the same way because of our.
If they were giving as much ass play to the men as they were to the women, trust me, every guy in the chat right now would notice. How come there's ass in my face?
So
from
first
these
off,
gymnasts that are no. This
on
is
behalf of me
and women.
On behalf of me and every person that's watching this show today, Catch, that you just changed the way we're going to watch the Olympics for the rest of the time. Thank you so much, because now that's all I can think about. Thank you so much.
Well, believe me, it's all I've been able to think about. And finally, speaking of ass, buy or sell. It's a hotter than Olympic style. Olympic female track athletes are hotter than all other athletes in all other sports.
Yeah, without getting into specifics, I would say buy across all events, across.
Basically, I'm saying, where do you find the sexiest women?
Yeah, in general, I think that's probably it. There's a lot of areas where I'm always reminded when I watch gymnastics, just the level of good-looking people we're talking about there. But yes, I think that's true, because everything that is shown off in track and field, the level of just the physical, the physical stature you have to even get to a trial to get to do it. Yeah, I'll buy that one. I like
Colby. There is not an Orange Bloods thread dedicated to Olympic asses. This is what I say for you.
Yeah.
There probably should be, but there is not.
There should be. It reminds me of a few years ago when I started realizing just how weirdly sexy curling was to watch, depending on who was doing it. The women's curling in the Winter Olympics, I was like, wow, this is kind of a sexy sport, and I never thought of it as a sexy sport. And once you said that, I did. Yeah, the camera angles are there, and I go back in the mental Rolodex. I'm like, yeah, there are a lot in there. I didn't.
Can I tell you the single sexiest woman that I've seen in the Olympics so far?
Sure.
And she is fully clothed. You see no skin.
Mm-hmm.
You barely even are able to see her.
Okay.
A woman from China set a world record in the 25-meter pistol.
Okay.
And you have to go find the video. The video, like, just type in 25M pistol into Twitter, and I bet something will show up. And she takes the pistol and sets an Olympic record or a world record in it.
Mm-hmm.
And she so methodically puts the gun away, and like her whole demeanor makes her look like a freaking superhero. You've never seen a woman shoot with a gun so coolly and nonchalantly, knowing that she broke a world record, and she looks like she's looking in her wallet for a $5 bill. Like, it's the most casual. It made her the sexiest thing I've seen at the Olympics so far. She should be in the remake of Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh my God. So, okay, that's sexier than everything we saw in gymnastics that we just talked about. That's sexier than anything you think you're going to see in
the video.
Track and field.
Because she's gorgeous. So there is a beautiful woman component of this.
So you're saying you can see her face,
but she's got to see the video, man.
All right,
you have to see the video.
I will take a look.
I will find the video. Can we pay a bill? And while we pay a bill,
we can do
I'll
that.
try to find the video and I'll send it to you on Teams.
Okay.
And then you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong.
All right, let's try to do that. We will try to get that done. All right, we got spec. I think we got. Did we get specs taken care of today? I got so much in my mind. Did we get specs done, Catch? We got specs done, didn't we? Maybe we didn't. We'll get specs done before we get out of here. Today, I'm going to remind you, there are 2 different ways to get your Deep Eddy vodka, and one of them is the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. I'm here in Cisco, and I actually had some Deep Eddy vodka last night. Went over to Muddy Mike's. One of our fans told me to go hit Muddy Mike's. I did. We had a great meal, and I had a Texas Mule made with that Deep Eddy vodka. That'd be the bottle in the lower right there, the original Deep Eddy vodka, but they've got cranberry, they've got the ruby red, they've got the sweet tea, they've got the lemon, they've got the lime, and they've got those 2 bad boys in the upper left corner, my favorite flavored Deep Eddy vodkas, the orange and the peach. They're out there for you in Dripping Springs, just waiting on you. Thursday and Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 11 to 5, Sunday, 12 to 5. Make your plans to get out there. They got great barbecue out there with Crimson Creek Smokehouse. That barbecue is excellent. I would send you out there just for the barbecue, but you don't have to go just for the barbecue. You're getting all the great cocktails, and if you want to do a flight and sip on that great vodka, you can do all that as well. Tell them we said hi out at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. And as I've told you, they are whipping us up an OB cocktail. As soon as it's ready and it's ready for this season, we will let you know. Shout out to the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. All right, Catch, did you find what you were looking for?
I did, but give me a second because Teams was turned off because I had to reboot my computer and all to get us on the air today. So Teams is loading.
Okay, so we got to get that
and
done.
Look, I will admit, first of all, second of all, a couple thoughts. She's Korean and not Chinese. Apologies. I don't want to. They're definitely different. Ask anybody from South Korea; they'll tell you they're not Chinese. And ask anybody from China. That whole part of the world, not the same. Yeah. If you're wondering out there in TV land.
Now I'm not believing that you're actually that into her because you didn't even know that part. So now it's like I don't know.
It's true. I could have sworn the first time I saw this, it said she was from China, but in this video that I'm sending, it calls her Korean. I've sent it to you in Teams.
All right, I see it's come in. Here we go. Let's check out this incredible video, and then we will. This still shot is pretty badass.
You just have to take a moment and watch her break a world record, and she's just totally not bothered. It's as if of course, she set a world record in a 25-meter pistol. She's a freaking assassin.
The glasses really help. The dark colors really help. Like the clothing, like everything about it. You're right. Is that there's
there's something sexy about looking at a world famous assassin.
Yeah, that is good. That is not the sexiest thing I've seen.
It shows no emotion.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's not that's not the sexy.
I don't know. There's something sexy about it, Chad. I'm sorry.
That's different though. Is there something sexy about it?
Woman.
Is there something sexy about it? Yes. Is it sexier than like, the American gymnasts on floor? No, it's not. Not for me. Not for me.
Oh,
that ain't sexier than Simone Biles smiling. It's not. Not for me. But it's cool. It's cool and badass. And it also makes me a little bit afraid, which Simone does not. Like Simone doesn't make
part that I'm getting at is she might literally kill you.
Right, but I don't want that to be a part of my sexy. The she might kill me does not add to the sexy. That adds to fear. I don't fear Simone.
Remember in Teen Wolf when Coach Finstock says never date a woman with a tattoo of a dagger on her body?
Yes.
That is dating. That's what it's like. You're dating a woman with a tattoo of a dagger on her body.
That is no doubt. There's no doubt about that. While all of that was going on with buy or sell, we did get some super chats in. And Jay, I'll just be honest, I don't know what this reference is. $2 super chat. He's never played football. I have no idea what that reference is. But Jay,
it's got to be the 6'11", 380 pound
Georgia guy. Yeah. That's true. Good point, Jay. Yes, that never played football. George is going to find out if he can at this point. Paul for $4.99 says, when Oliver Miller signed his $10 million Pistons deal, Barkley was asked to comment, and he said, that's a lot of cheeseburgers. I forgot about that. Oh, man. God love Charles Barkley. He is easily one of the greatest.
I miss Oliver Miller, too. He had a very unique skill set. He was like Joker before Joker. Jokic. I don't know why I called him Joker. I just turned him into Novak Djokovic, but
right.
It was like Oliver Miller was like a poor man Djokovic with his ability to pass the basketball as a big man at the top of the key.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I didn't
come with all the other stuff.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Some might have focused on other things.
A very poor man's, like maybe dead broke, but a dead broke version of Djokovic. Yes.
Our man Cody Carpentier throwing a weird super chat number. I like $2.69 though. Hotter than Kennedy Smith, TF, or Simone Biles, Jim. So
I'm gonna go with Biles here.
Who's Kennedy? What is TF? Help me.
She's if I'm not mistaken, she's a track athlete from Texas A&M.
Track and field. Okay, right. Track and field is TF. Why didn't I know what TF was? All right, Kennedy. Yeah, I'd have to look up Kennedy Smith. I'll lean Biles without looking up.
Let me tell you who Kennedy Smith is.
Okay.
She fits into a very distinct category.
All right, now I'm going to look her up.
Aggie women that wear too much makeup.
Oh, here we go. There's no need.
She's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. Every photo on Google search, though, I feel like, who she applies makeup like high school dance teams do.
Right. I get you. Yes, I'm seeing the pictures now. Yeah, I'd lean towards Simone there. But yeah, you're right. Maybe a little too much on the makeup.
It's like she was in the dance team in high school, but she also runs track, but still applies the makeup like she's on the high school dance team.
By the way, speaking of makeup, did you catch the bold move that Natalie Portman went after at the Olympics?
No.
Show up to the women's all-around gymnastics final in no makeup. None. Like no makeup. Looked like the hair was just kind of there. Looked like she hadn't done much with that. Natalie Portman just showed up and said, you know what, y'all? I'm Natalie Portman. Deal with it. It was fairly impressive.
She could be Caitlin Clark's aunt.
That's true. She could. Okay, hang on. Hang on, we're getting some super chats in now. Barbs for $4.99 says tuned in late but caught catches ass play versus ass shots comment. Sir, those two things are very different. I don't think he ever said ass play. He said ass shots, as in pictures during the Olympics. How dare you, Barbs?
But
how dare you?
It would have been easy to accidentally say that. So if I did,
you may have.
Good keeping me in line.
That is fair. All right, Catch. In terms of getting back to the football conversations, we did have a couple chats, but I don't know if it's specifically where we wanted to go. I know you said you wanted to talk a little bit about the DB discussion with Coach Kwiatkowski.
Well, look, Kwiatkowski brings up Jalen Gilbo and mentions that Gilbo might allow Jahdae Barron to go play on the outside at cornerback. And I think there are a few really important context pieces that need to be said out loud to appreciate what it is that when we say that out loud, what it is that we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022, when Jalen Gilbo was a true freshman, he beat out Jahdae Barron for the starting star position. In game one, he was the starter. It's easy to forget that because it's been almost 2 full years since that happened. But he was a big-time prospect. He comes in as a true freshman. He wins that job, busts up his knee, is forced to recover from that. Last year was kind of his bounce back season from a major injury. Didn't have a huge role. But now we're almost a full 24 months removed from that knee injury. And they talked about this in the spring, and they talked about this now yesterday, the defensive coordinator. They're singling Gilbo out as a possible starter at star. Let's talk for a second about, okay, and I want to bring this up because Jahdae Barron is a preseason all SEC player at second team at that position.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling us that Gilbo may start ahead of that guy. So when they say Jalen Gilbo might be the starter, he's the starter over a fifth-year senior who NFL draft guys know, scouts are turned on to. I can't even remember the name of the award that he was nominated for, but he's on the radar. The expectations are that Jahdae Barron is going to be one of the best defensive backs in the SEC this year. And the coaches in the spring and then yesterday with Pete Kwiatkowski's state of the defense commentary, they're telling us that Gilbo might be better than Barron. If he wasn't, you're not moving Barron around. He's an all-conference player at that position. The idea that Gilbo may be so good that he moves Barron to a position that there's no guarantee that Barron would even be the starter at. When they say it might allow Barron to go play on the outside at corner, that does not automatically mean that he's going to start at corner. Malik Muhammad's going to be one of the starting cornerbacks on this team. The other outside cornerback position, they brought in Javian Cole through the portal to be a starter at corner.
Mm-hmm.
So if Barron is moved outside because Gilbo has become the starting star, then Barron will be battling Cole for playing time. Now, look, I fully expect that Jahdae Barron will play a lot in that star position. That has been the position that he played at. I thought he was just okay a year ago.
Yeah. And to be fair, just to clarify, Catch, when you're saying star position, that's how they label like their nickel corner.
Nickel, yes.
Nickel corner, right. Okay.
And so there's been a lot of talk and innuendo that Jalen Gilbo is going to be the starter at the nickel. And I bring up, if he never gets hurt, he's been the starting nickel probably for the past few seasons.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't get hurt, Jahdae Barron transfers? It's one of these sliding door moments that's hard to complete. But if Gilbo never gets hurt, there's a strong possibility that Barron ends the 2022 season as the backup at his position. And the guy who's in front of him is younger. So I don't know that we're talking about a healthy Jalen Gilbo enough, because a healthy Jalen Gilbo 2 years ago was better than Jahdae Barron based on the decisions they made at that position going into the 2022 season. So it's really exciting to think about. Jahdae Barron's a good player. Is he a great player? No, I do not think he is. But he's really good. And if you're telling me that they think Jalen Gilbo is his equal or better, then that means you've got a really freaking good player, maybe a great player. What would it take for Jahdae Barron to lose his position? Something pretty freaking good, because they can just leave him at star and they'll feel like we've got one of the better nickelbacks in college football. Those are not easy to find. The skills don't always translate the same. Not all outside corners can play in the nickel, and not all nickel guys end up playing on the outside in the perimeter, right? So they're not exactly the same thing. But that Kwiatkowski came into his comments yesterday about the defense, specifically referencing that, it was already something that I will keep an eye on, but it may be the first or second or third thing that I'm looking for today is personnel-wise, how do the DBs line up at? Because I think it tells quite a story if Jahdae Barron, a player that they sent to SEC Media Day, is really being pushed for the starting job at his position by a guy that beat him out at that position 2 years ago. It speaks to the depth on this team and the quality of player that suddenly exists where such a discussion can even take place with a little bit of a straight face.
Ketch, I had a question for you about receivers when you get a second. Do you have more you want to throw in on the DBs, or can I throw this at you real quick?
Throw it. Let me have it.
Okay, one of the things that jumped out to me from Anwar's reporting, check out orangebloods.com. Of course, we'll get you that free trial offer here in a second and remind you. The mention was the expectation that 9 receivers might get first and second reps as practice starts. You and I think we understand who 7 of those 9 guys are, because Sark mentioned 7. He mentioned Cook and Bond and Bolden. He mentioned Moore, Golden, Wingo, and Niblett at SEC Media Days. My question to you is, when Coach Flood talks about that and the idea is as many as 9, who do you think those other 2 guys are?
Well, I can tell you who. There's 10 receivers on scholarship. When they singled out 7, they left out Parker Livingstone, they left out Freddie DeBose, and they left out Aaron Butler.
Okay.
When they up it to 9, it's 2 of those true freshmen. And I think that's, if I had to guess, Livingstone and Butler.
Okay.
If I had to guess. I think it's it is lip service. You say that because back a couple of weeks ago, Sark singled out 7, and the 3 guys that he didn't single out are probably like, well, what the hell am I even doing here then? And, we want our coaches across the country to be transparent and honest and to tell us things that are informative. And when Sark said that, it was pretty informative because he listed names. I can just tell you, based on what Flood said yesterday, that I said it with Anwar earlier today like this. Aaron Butler is a national top 100 out-of-state prospect that had you told him 9 months ago, if you go to Texas, you'll be 8th at wide receiver going into your freshman season, he wouldn't have come to Texas. So for Sark to say he had 7 guys, the 3 guys that he left out were the 3 true freshmen, not named Ryan Wingo. Those 3 true freshmen probably were like, well, what am I doing? Should I even be here? Now, I don't think Parker I don't think DeBose or Livingstone would say that. I think they knew, A, they're coming off of injuries. B, there weren't a lot of expectations that they would automatically play as true freshmen. I never said that. I don't think anybody on Orange Bloods was ever like, Parker Livingstone's going to come in and like just take a job. I think Aaron Butler, though, is a guy that probably has, of that trio, the highest immediate expectations. And Sark told us 2 weeks ago that he has a top 7, and he listed the names, and Butler wasn't in it. I think Flood says that because he wants to keep his young guys engaged. I think he wants to make those guys feel like there's a carrot dangling in front of them. I think Aaron Butler would be frustrated to have heard that and have it framed that, well, I don't have a chance. I'm not. And I think including Ryan Niblett probably had some of those guys, because a lot of those guys were playing on the third team with Niblett in the spring. So it's like, whoa, Niblett's ahead of me. And, you know, if you're Aaron Butler, you might have been thinking, well, look, man, okay, Jonte's been here a year and he was a 5-star. You can start running these things out. And you can even explain Ryan Wingo, right? Because Aaron Butler can look at Ryan Wingo and go, okay, fair enough. I'm not that guy. But, and you can go, well, okay, Bolden's a transfer. He's older than me. You can start going through the transfers and go, okay, they brought in Matthew Golden. He's a transfer. I get it. But to include Niblett in that group and not have included, let's say, Aaron Butler, and it's just me theorizing. This is not me. I talked to Aaron Butler's dad, and his dad told me this, and I'm saying this as fact. This is my interpretation of that. Is that if Aaron Butler doesn't play at all this year, he's going to be a guy that you have to watch for in the portal. You just, in the modern day college football, any player who's not on the 2 deep is a candidate to end up in the portal, period. Like, don't do that thing where you're like, yeah, it's like when people are in abusive relationships and they're like, oh, it's different with us. I'm not really in a situation like that. It's like, no, don't do that thing where you're one of the things and you say you're different than all of the other things that are just like you. Don't take your players and say, well, my guy's different. He didn't play this year. And yes, he's on the scout team, but he's not. No, every single one of those guys is a candidate to end up in the portal. And I think they don't want Aaron Butler thinking about the portal in August. I think they want to keep him motivated. I think they want him to think that there's room for growth right now and not after a bunch of guys leave. So if I'm being completely honest, when I saw Flood's comment and he said 9, it made me think they got themselves into a little bit of trouble when Sark said 7. Somebody said something.
Yeah.
And today, Flood made sure to say 9, and he said no names. And they only have 10 on scholarship. So there has to be one of that 10. Either Livingstone or DeBose isn't in the equation, and it's probably DeBose because he's the one that I still think is coming back from injury the most. Although Livingstone was hobbled and limited in the spring as well. So I think they're covering their bases on every single player that's on scholarship, and they probably I would almost wager a nickel, and maybe I'm wrong, but you know, Sark probably didn't think anything about that when he said it. And there's always a cause and effect at times when you say stuff like that. It's one of the reasons why coaches hate to answer questions about who's standing out. Because
you're going to leave someone out.
Or 2 or 3 or 20, right? And this is an example of that. And when in a week from now, when somebody from Orange, when Anwar Richardson says, hey, Sark, you guys have had like 5 full days of practice. Can you give us a few names of guys who stood out? Sark doesn't hear these guys want information to inform people. Sark will hear, who are you trying to get me to piss off?
Right.
If I say 2 receivers' names, I've got 8 that wonder why I'm not saying their name. If I say one of these tight ends is standing out, what other tight ends are, what about me? You know, if I say Nyblack had a good practice, does Gunnar Helm get defensive about it? It's a weird world that these coaches live in. And I'm acknowledging that with full transparency, because in a few days when Sark doesn't answer a question the way we want him to, we'll be able, I think, to point back at this specific situation and go, oh, Sark hadn't given us anything, because he did that, I think, full transparency, trying to be informative. And there probably was a little bit of pushback on that he probably had never in a million years was thinking that would create. My guess is that it did, that somebody was like, hey, what about me? And it caused a little bit of a problem that they're soothing over now.
Yeah, my guess is next time Sark gets asked about the receivers, he'll say 10. We will be on the lookout for that. Practice notes will be coming this afternoon because the first official practice is today. That coordinator stuff was yesterday. It is there at orangebloods.com, the stuff that Flood, Kwiatkowski, and Banks talked about yesterday. All the practice stuff is coming today. So what do you need to do? You need to get in on orangebloods.com. 2 free months, not just any 2 free months, not February and April. No, August and September for free. Are you kidding me? There's your code. It's active today. Join OB24. Find out what it's all about. The craziest message board on earth, the practice reports, the pictures, the breakdown, the deep digs, the Sunday pulpits, the 10 thoughts from the weekend, and we hope the contribution that will help Jeff Ketchum get that raise that we have been talking about. It all starts with that QR code, ladies and gentlemen. Get it done today. Get it out of the way. This offer runs through August 5th, so please keep that in mind. It don't last forever. Get it taken care of today. Catch, we did have a super chat come in. There you go.
$10.
$10 from Money B. Well played, Money B. I've been researching this one, Catch, while you were talking Texas football. Hotter than Sydney McLaughlin, hotter than Tara Davis. This one's close for me, Catch. I'm buying Sydney, but I went back and forth a couple times.
It's very close. They're not really built the same.
No, a little different. You're right.
I have to say that Sydney is built frame-wise, body-wise. I have a type, and she's probably it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Tara Davis is so sexy.
Okay.
That I have to go with Tara.
Fair enough.
In a normal world, I think Sydney's more my cup of tea.
Okay.
But Tara Davis is so sizzling. She's so hot. When we had Serenity Douglas working for Orange Bloods Live, by the way, I saw Serenity back in Dallas. Glad to see she's doing well. And she is doing well for those of you who haven't been keeping up, working out in East Texas, doing that TV thing. I think she'll be covering the Olympics in 4 years. But when Serenity worked with us and she was able to get an interview with Tara Davis, there was a part of me that fanboyed out like it was Dr. J.
Yeah.
I was like, can you ask Tara, like, if she knows who I am, and maybe just tell her I said hi? Like, she's so hot. The idea that she might even know who you are is like a thing. It's like, oh, man, Tara Davis, one of the sexiest women on earth. She's so fine. She's just amazing.
Money B, here's how good of a hotter than you set up. The very first comment I saw was this. The next comment I saw was this. So we had one vote on either side immediately. So well played, Money B. Well played.
I'm telling you, the interesting thing is that's a great question because Sydney, I have a type, and I think Sydney falls in line kind of with my type. If you were to close your eyes and like she kind of has like a Miley Cyrus body or a Natalie Portman body. AT, the producer, back in the day would have said she's a small piece of leather that's well put together.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no doubt.
By the way, speaking of Sydney Sweeney was in the headlines in the last 24 hours. Did you see that headline?
I did not. What did Sydney get involved in?
She says she will not stop getting naked in movies.
On one hand, I applaud that statement, Catch. On the other hand, then somebody get me a director's cut of Madam Web, because I did not. That is not what I saw. She was in the movie, but I didn't see that. Just saying, if anybody ever wants me to sit through that again, that's what I'm gonna need.
Hey, Money B's in the chat. I need to correct Money B. I wouldn't do that if I thought this wasn't really important. Money B, you know I love you. I don't mean to just step in and correct you. Sydney is hot. Yes. And doesn't try to be. Who cares?
Yeah.
Are we really going to hold it against hot women who go out of their way to be hot?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. I think Money B is just pointing out that to him, there's like an effortless hotness to Sydney that she doesn't really have to,
Victoria's Secret supermodels know they're hot, and they go out of their way to be hot. When they put the angel outfits on,
right,
they're literally announcing to the world, look how hot I am. And I don't punish them for that. You cannot punish a hot person for trying to be, because you know what they would say? I'm not trying. If you want to look at Tara and say she tries to be hot, how does she try? Because she puts a cowboy hat on? Why can't that woman just put a cowboy hat on with some cowboy boots? Is she trying, or is anything she does look like she's trying? Because no matter what she does, she's always hot.
Right. Yeah, I think Money B's just pointing out, you mentioned it earlier, in the world of track and field especially, there are certain athletes that you can feel them going out of their way. Fingernails, hair, the makeup, all the stuff they'll show you. Sydney's not doing as much of that. Sydney's just kind of laying back and just being naturally hot. Just,
But so what it makes it sound like you're saying, though, is that any woman that has a personality.
Oh, God, no. Lord,
no. It sounds like.
No. Come on.
She can't do her nails any way she wants to without some man saying that she's going out of her way to be hot.
Dude, we've been playing hotter than a long time. You know that is not the game I'm playing. I'm just telling you there's different versions of it. There's just different versions. I think this was a great matchup, Sydney versus Tara, because I think both Sydney and Tara have that quality. They don't appear to be going out of their way to show that part of themselves off. It's just there.
All right, here's what I'm going to do.
Oh, brother.
This is important work that I'm doing for the everyman.
I'm sure it is. The everyman thanks you in advance.
I'm going to Instagram.
Money B. Catch is officially back. That is, I love that you have.
I'm going to Sydney's Instagram page.
Yeah, Anthony was did not agree with anything I just said. I'm sorry, Anthony. I tried.
I have officially given Sydney a follow.
Okay.
Now, why have I done this? Because I need to see if on social media she's doing. There are a lot of photos of Sydney on social media where she's modeling.
Uh-huh. There's
photos of her in a wheat field with midriff showing and muscles, and she's in all white. And there's a picture of her on the cover of a Women's Health magazine.
Yeah.
Where she's posing. And she's posing.
I'm just.
I'm not going to say that Tara goes out of her way to look sexy. And I'm not say that about Sydney, because Sydney's going out of her way on her social media to present a sexy part of herself.
Yeah, and I would just ask why you're going out of your way to try to make Money B wrong. That's all I'm asking. Money B's one of our best fans. Threw a super chat at you, and then you're breaking it all down.
Well, I'm just because I'm defending Tara.
I see. You're on the Tara Davis defense team, is what you are.
Tara Davis has never had a defender like myself.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
Dr. J and Tara Davis, I will defend. God damn it.
Yeah. All right, Catch. We have arrived at 2:00. Anything else you wanted to hit? Do you want to get into a little Jonte Cook, Silas Bolden? Or do you want to hold that?
Let's hold it. Instagram has given me some other accounts that I might be interested in.
I bet they have. I bet they have. All right. We will we will exit on that. While Catch does some research for tomorrow's show, we will remind you to like, subscribe, and get those notifications. One more time, let me flash that QR code up for you. The free trial, 2-month free trial, join OB24. That's your promo code. Get it taken care of today. That code is active today, so you can get it hooked up by the time the practice reports start rolling in, which is around 3:00 this afternoon, 2:45 or so for that media window. And all afternoon and evening long, you're going to get some great content that way. We will also remind you that Football with Friends is back. If you haven't seen the new schedule, it looks something like this. Football with Friends at 6:00. Jason Sukamel and myself had the recruiting hour for you at 10 a.m. this earlier today. It'll be 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. The Prize Pick Show will be back on August 22nd. So get all of that in your mind, or just get your notifications. They'll let you know when all the stuff happens, and you don't have to memorize a damn thing. All right. I think we're good. Catch, you ready?
Gabby Thomas is also an attractive woman.
This just in, Gabby Thomas. I am telling you, as we move forward, the 1:30 to 2 p.m. Jeff Ketchum, that's the one you're going to want to check out. Even if you miss a show one day, just watch a little bit of that
Gabby
early
Thomas
content.
was as a Harvard grad.
Then jump to 1:30. That's
She's
when
moved up even hotter.
You see that? This is what you're going to get. And super chats that involve hotter thans are our favorite kind of super chats. You should know that now.
Ivy League education is like a great smile. It just elevates everything.
That's fair. Totally fair. Thank you for liking and subscribing and
No
getting your
offense to
notifications.
the community college women out there, but
No offense to those women.
if you would tell me like I did a stint at ACC, I'd be like, so did I. If you say you're a Harvard grad, I'm like, oh, you're okay. Smarty pants. Yeah, it's like that.
Ooh, the boss is back. Ladies and gentlemen, until tomorrow at high noon, when we will get you the first House Divided after there's an actual practice to talk about. He's Jeff Ketchum. I'm Chad Hayes.